You're very welcome to studio.
Thank you, very well.
It's great to have you with us.
Here. Thanks, Joe.
Yeah.
Very pleased, sir.
That's it.
How's it going?
Back again.
You two know each other from school days, we should point out, if people are wondering about over-familiarity here.
I suppose in Navan, it was a choice of going to the Tech or to St. Pat's. The full name of St. Pat's was St. Patrick's Classical School for Young Gentlemen. And we ended up in St. Patrick's Classical School. I was
That's
a year
right.
ahead
We're actually in primary school the same. He was a year ahead of me, and we played in the same school team with the brothers.
The brothers.
Don't forget, brothers in Navan is always spelt with a D. Two D's.
The brothers.
Yes. So we played together on school teams in Croke Park of all places. There's a picture there of the two of us standing together with some great footballers actually that turned out over the years. So
and what was the tactic? Lob it into Keys in the full forward line. Was that generally how it went?
Yeah. Where did you play?
Everywhere really. I never used my height well.
Is that right?
No,
okay.
No, I never used it well. So yeah, so that was it.
I did a run on the Meath Miners back then, didn't I? Did you remember that when I got a run on the Meath?
I don't remember
that. I got a run on the Meath Miners. I scored 1-2 in a trial in Kells for the Meath under-16s, and then on the Meath Miners I played a couple of challenge matches in the Northeastern League. That was my height of gab before I got heavily involved in Parkville and soccer.
Yeah, he was a good soccer player too. My memory of him was a good soccer player. As Tommy Tiernan was. I remember Tommy Tiernan was also quite a good soccer player and a very good goalkeeper. Good GA goalkeeper. He probably doesn't remember that, but I do. He played with my club team, and he could play in goals. He was quite good. So you've Chris O'Dowd, Patrick Keelty, Tommy Tiernan, all goalkeepers, all comedians.
Yeah.
And Pope John Paul II. He was a good goalkeeper.
Gdansk FC.
I'll run you through the headlines before we get stuck into the stories. There's lots of good stuff in the papers. So Sunday Mirror Sport then is the one I have closest to hand. I'll hold it up. We are streaming, as is the case now these days, on Facebook Live and Periscope and Twitter. So Gerrard, yes to Rangers is the Sunday Mirror headline. It seems they're very confident Stephen Gerrard is going to Ibrox. Mail on Sunday. John Muldoon is their main man. Muldoon exits with something to shout about. A brilliant day for Connacht yesterday. What a way for John Muldoon to bow out. And then a story we will come to in a moment is Red Storm. Italian police claim Liverpool hooligans, their word, will flood into Rome. So we'll come back to that story in a few moments on the Mail on Sunday. The Sunday Times, brilliant picture again of Muldoon. Fist pumping, champagne going. I don't know if it's quite champagne, but water. And it's way to go. Muldoon has perfect send-off as Connacht thrash Leinster. And then beneath that, again, a similar story to the Mail on Sunday. Fears grow for Liverpool fans as Gerrard is warned on Rangers' job. The warning for Stephen Gerrard is from Graham Souness telling him that he has no idea what he's getting in for. And then the fears growing for Liverpool fans is all to do with Rome on Tuesday night. Again, we'll come back to that in a second. Sunday Independent then have... this is an interesting story here on the top of the Sunday Independent. Schmidt and Gatland, top of England's wish list. So it seems the RFU are making contingency plans should the World Cup go very badly for England. And top of their list are amongst top contenders Joe Schmidt. And their CEO, their chief executive, Steve Brown, said there is no gentleman's agreement amongst home nations not to poach each other's coaches. And he says, to be honest, it's pretty competitive, so nobody is off limits. And that would be an interesting one for Joe Schmidt if a big offer came in from England. Back page then of the Sunday World, Pool's tribute to Sean. I'm sure you saw those photos during the week. The Dunboyne jersey hanging in the Liverpool dressing room. As we hope Sean Cox makes a full recovery. And Jose eyes up more glory. Arsene Wenger's final trip to Old Trafford today. Rangers get their gaffer as Gerrard and sidekick Gary McAllister, it seems, say yes to Rangers, is the back page of the Sunday People. The Sun then have salary double, as in Mo Salah. He's doubled his salary. He's up to 185k a week at the moment, sterling. And then should mention that top left corner, Wes Hoolahan. It's goodbye from him. A very tearful day for Wes Hoolahan. His final game for Norwich yesterday. I'm sure you saw he was subbed at the end and went straight down the tunnel. Very emotional, Wes Hoolahan, as his contract finishes up at Norwich. And then finally, hold firm. Bren Telstar's focus on beating Gers, not on Magnificent Seven. Well, that is already out of date because they're 5-0 up, so I think they can focus on their 7th title now with half an hour to go. And also Stephen Gerrard, he'd be a god. Graham Souness backs rookie Steve, is what the Star are saying. So there are your back pages. Where will we jump in? We're going to touch on some Liverpool stuff. There's Muldoon, there's Punchestown. What grabbed you today, Hector? What struck you in the papers? What did you go to first?
I just think that the Johnny Muldoon the 17 years and Johnny Muldoon's final game yesterday in Galway. I got confirmation on Wednesday, so I couldn't get to that match, but I'll tell you, I did 8 hours in the garden yesterday. There was sunshine in Galway for the first time since 1976 yesterday. Connacht played in great conditions, and it was fitting that was for Johnny there to bow out. He's as good a guy, if anyone who doesn't know him, when you're living in Galway, it's a small town and everybody knows everyone. You could meet them on a Monday walking through Ayr Square or down Quay Street. Johnny Muldoon is as good a guy on the pitch as he is off the pitch. He's an absolute gentleman, very funny. I meet him sometimes in the same coffee shop at 11 o'clock, 3 or 4 times a week after their training sessions. A fine Galway man, a Portumna man, and you know, what a warrior for the province. Who you know, Johnny Muldoon has only come to our... Did we know who Johnny Muldoon was 10 years ago, 12 years ago? We didn't know.
Probably not.
But he's just...
The picture on the front of the Sunday Times, you know, doesn't really need any words. I mean, that is Johnny Muldoon's career almost in one snapshot there. Just he always brought a ferocity, and I was reading Alan Quinlan's piece in the Irish Independent yesterday, which was devoted entirely to Johnny Muldoon and the rivalry he had with the Munster back row, Dennis Leamy especially. But he brought a physical ferocity, he brought a mental ferocity, and there was a verbal ferocity as well that Alan Quinlan says. But he was just a warrior, and I think that's what everyone would say about him. And fittingly, yesterday, Connacht signed off Johnny Muldoon's career with a 47-10 win against... Now, we talk about a second-string Leinster team. Their front row was Porter, Cronin and Jack McGrath.
Not too bad.
Max Deegan, up-and-coming player, Jack Conan in the back row. So that's a decent enough Leinster team. Joey Carberry was playing. There isn't really such thing as a bad... It's almost like Dublin football. There's not really such thing as a bad Leinster team. Now, they may have been a bit off, but they sent him off on a very big high yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, the first part of his career, there aren't many just Muldoon pieces. Eamon Sweeney touches on him in the Sunday Independent on the back page, and like points out this was a real slog for Muldoon, you know? Like, he joins Connacht in 01, and they're in such a poor state that 2 years later it looks like Connacht might be disbanded. And then his first full season, Connacht finished 9th out of the 12 in the Celtic League. They finished 10th for the next 6 years before climbing to 9th again. It was miserable in a lot of ways for his 300 odd games.
To keep going in those conditions.
Seeing Muldoon in action has always warmed the heart. The going may be tough and the road uphill, but you always knew that the big man was given everything. Good line.
Yeah.
Hard to believe that he only ever got 3 international caps. If you go back to 2001, if he's playing that long, you would have thought maybe he would have got higher than that. But there was such incredible competition in the back row. But a really, really strong club player.
Yeah.
Isn't it fitting that he did get the recognition, that he did get the silverware, that Connacht did get the crowds in the gate, that they did get the adoration of the whole of the province, that Johnny was still there, that Johnny Muldoon was still there for the good times. He was there in the bad times, and he's now been there for the greatest ever times of Connacht rugby.
Yeah.
It's,
interestingly, on that whole, you know, you mentioned he's a Galway man and you see him around Galway, and that's really important for the fabric, I suppose, of the provinces. Neil Francis, we'll touch on this briefly. Neil Francis is talking on the back of the Ross Byrne, Joey Carberry situation to Ulster, and he's just making the point, well, he says socialism doesn't work, and he quotes Churchill. He says its inherent virtue is in the equal sharing of misery, he says, to quote Churchill. So he doesn't think it works in politics, and he doesn't think it's working really in rugby. He says weakening the strong to subsidise the non-performing franchises may seem like a logical and even plausible idea. In the end, you may get limited success, but for every one successful transplant, you will undoubtedly pick up 3 failures. And he does go on to say as well, my suspicion is that there'll be a fair amount of player disruption, but also, he says, messing with the ethnic fabric of the provinces is not a good idea. The Leinstrification of the provinces will undoubtedly lead to resentment and disillusionment, not only in the playing ranks, but on the terraces. Or are the fans not a factor? And he says, already Munster, Ulster, Connacht have 2 or 3 Leinster cast-offs playing in nearly every game. If it gets any higher, you reach the law of diminishing returns. And look, I'm sure from the RFU perspective, they'd love to have local lads flooding through in the 4 provinces, and yet they've got to balance that with the national side, and they've done that so well in the past. But, you know, a John Muldoon is invaluable to a Connacht.
Absolutely. Could you imagine him anywhere else?
Exactly.
And I know he's offered out to join Pat Lam in Bristol, and Bristol have
what is the solution for Joey Carberry then? What is the solution for him? I mean, if Johnny Sexton is going to be number 1, you would think for the next 2 to 3 years, where does the solution lie for Carberry? Not as a full-back. I mean, his talent is really as an out-half, and that needs to start developing soon. So he really has to weigh this up and go somewhere. We saw it with the American football with the quarterback that left, was under Tom Brady, and he's gone. Like, it just has to happen for him somewhere over the next 2 years. And in all likelihood, it's not going to happen for him in Leinster, because Sexton is there right on top of his game, playing as well as ever. And something has to give, and it looks like Joey Carberry.
Well, Francis says, I think the notion of game time is overdone. Ask Johnny Sexton what he thinks of game time. Examine how good Robbie Henshaw was last Saturday after 2 months rest. He was the best player on the park. Less is more. I accept that to a point, but Johnny Sexton got his mileage in early. You have to learn your craft, I suppose, would be the argument. As you get older, maybe it's less
I don't
important.
think Joey Carberry would agree with that. Game time for him now is everything. He wants to be in the thick of the action, wherever that action is going to be. He's a professional player, and he needs to be on the pitch, and he needs to be making decisions and playing at a certain level to progress his career.
Speaking of that, on Bristol and Johnny Muldoon going to Pat Lam, and there's Ian Madigan, who must be a year and a half or 2 years over there now, and he's going to be playing in the Premiership.
Yeah.
There's another guy who had to go and make a decision, go to England, and people going, where's he going? To Bristol? To what? And they will be in the Premiership next year.
Yeah.
So he's reborn.
Yeah. Actually, I'll leave the rugby on this, but there was a good piece. I know we didn't chat too much about it before coming on air, lads, so no harm if you haven't seen it. But page 74 and 75 of the Mail, where Hugh Farrelly's done a really good piece. He's just looking at Munster's Cork conundrum, he calls it. I don't know if you've had a chance to look at this.
Briefly looked over
Yeah,
this,
okay, but the general sense is that Cork are feeling a little bit disconnected from Limerick and a little bit disenfranchised. He said he was ringing around Cork clubs for this report during the week, and he said it was surprising how few people go on the record. He says part of this is rooted in the relationship between North Munster and South Munster branches, which oversee the amateur game, described now as toxic, all-time low. A Cork senior club official, preferred not to be named, said there's a definite feeling here in Cork of being left behind. All the big matches go to Limerick. Munster played Glasgow in Musgrave Park a couple of months ago, and that was it for Cork. No more matches from February on, and talking about the need to generate interest, get youngsters in Cork tied into Munster rugby, and they feel that there's been a bit of a gap growing, especially in the last few years since they've moved everything to Limerick. Now Munster have come out and said we don't see there's any neglect in Cork. No one's been left out. He said even when you look at the current squad, Cork are the biggest feeder group, and if anything, it's Limerick we should be looking at to ask why there are not more players coming through. But there is a slight sense in Cork on this report by Hugh Farrelly. I hadn't realised, maybe when you're down in the ground you do more, obviously, of a slight disconnect.
Hugh, being a former second row from out of that city, would obviously have a good feel for that, and that's obviously a sentiment down there.
Yeah. Brendan Fanning actually, for just by coincidence, touches on it in the Sunday Independent as well. So there's something in it. I hadn't fully realised that Cork were feeling slightly.
All the training happens in UL, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's moved on.
Obviously, the games, to facilitate the crowd, the majority of time it will be in Thomond Park.
Yeah.
Interesting though.
Yeah, it is. I hadn't realised it was going on, so maybe it's something for Munster to look at. Let's talk Punchestown then. There's a few pieces on Punchestown. A week to remember, Don McLean in the Sunday Times, Philip Quinn in the Mail on Sunday.
Listen, as a horsey man, and
did you let yourself go?
I didn't go there. No. I didn't get there this week, but an amazing week. I heard a stat that if Willie Mullins started training on Tuesday of this week alone, he would have ended up second in the Trainers' Championship in 3 days.
Is that right? I was looking actually just at the overall list, and the fall off is incredible when you go past Elliott and Mullins and Noel Meade.
To the rest of them.
The rest, like very quickly, the guy who's fourth or fifth is maybe pulling in 300 grand in prize money.
I said to Hector earlier, I was looking at the card during the week, and there was one 10-horse race, I think it was Wednesday, and there were 10 runners and 3 trainers. 4 from Elliott, 4 from Willie Mullins, and 2 for Henry de Bromhead.
Yeah.
And that said a lot to me about the direction horse training in this country is going. It really is 2 powerhouses that are striving, going so far ahead. I was in here exactly a year ago, after Punchestown, and we were having the exact same conversation.
See, the thing is
about Elliott Mullins and Willie catching, and here we are a year on. They are so far ahead of everybody else.
You can't blame any of these guys for doing this. You can't blame Michael O'Leary or Willie. Willie has many different owners. If a group of postmen from can Turk want to get together and have a syndicate, they can go to Willie Mullins. He had 12 different owners winning the first 12 different races that he won this week. So Gigginstown, the problem with Gigginstown is the colours are very dominant, and whether it's a midweek meeting in Thurles or Limerick, Gigginstown or Navan on a Sunday, they could have 19 runners over the space of a card, 6 or 7 races. That's their dominance. Willie targets these massive festivals, Fairyhouse, Cheltenham, and especially Punchestown, and that's where he goes. That's his harvest days, and you cannot blame Willie for this. I think he's an incredible training performance, and it was
absolutely
some
brilliant.
Some week, but I know what you're saying.
To make the most of the resources that he has, and to do it like that, and to place all those horses this week, and to run them in multiples so that he was picking up second and third. I don't think either man could ever say, well, I'm not really bothered about the Trainers' Championship, but they couldn't be dismissive about it. Willie Mullins really went after that this week with the placement of his horses, the volume of horses that he won, and it means a lot to them, and it means a lot to their team, obviously, to be champion trainer at the end of a year.
Yeah.
But it's phenomenal that 2 years running it's come down to Punchestown.
And the same
Gordon's
story,
so far
Mullins
ahead.
catches him.
Yeah,
And he catches him. And not only catches him, 500,000 behind. And he wins by 800,000 odd.
That's a fair few guineas.
Yes.
So
Spondulix.
it says to me, he's obviously a great trainer. He obviously has a lot of horses. But it also says to me that there's a lot of money in Irish racing too, that such a gap can be made up and beaten. Prize money over a 5-day festival like that. Phenomenal prize money, because don't forget Gordon Elliott is still winning big races too.
Absolutely.
While all of this is going on.
Hector, you've Philip Quinn's piece there.
Philip Quinn's piece in the
Mail on Sunday.
The Mail on Sunday is really good as well, and it paints a great picture about Willie and the team down in Clysutton. And he says when he lost his Gigginstown horses, and we forget about that, he lost 70 horses. Horse boxes arrived at 8 o'clock in the morning 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, to take 70 horses out of a yard. Did they panic? No, they didn't. And he says when he lost his Gigginstown House Cavalry at the start of the 2016-17 season, writes Philip Quinn, rather than feel sorry for himself, he spruced up the yard with new boxes that had greater ventilation and filled them with horses in the names of new owners, not all with bulging bank balances. And that's the beauty of Willie, that he has all types of owners in that yard.
So he has ordinary Joes and millionaires.
Absolutely, and he's got the Supreme Racing Club as well, that has many, many members, where they all put in their few quid and can get a horse. The beauty is you can knock on Willie's door tomorrow. The perception is with Gordon Elliott, and this is not that Gordon's a brilliant trainer, who started with one good horse and then moved through point to points. The perception is that Gordon is dominated by Gigginstown, and Gigginstown is Gordon, and Gordon Elliott is Gigginstown. Willie Mullins is a man who spreads it all evenly. But he buys a different type of horse. Willie Mullins buys really nice horses from France. Michael O'Leary spends a lot of money and a lot of time sourcing the really good Irish point-to-point horses.
Right.
And two unbelievably dominant machines that can go across the water and take all that sterling home as well.
Patrick Mullins makes the point in Philip Quinn's piece here about Willie being 62 this year, and I wouldn't have blamed him if he said we'll keep going what we're doing and we'll let Gordon take the championship. But instead, he brought a lot more stress and pressure into his life to get back into the lead this week. So it obviously does mean a lot, and that corroborates just what we were saying. It does mean a lot to him.
Yeah, and he has a good team there, Colm. Ruby Walsh is as smart a jockey as he is a mentor down there behind the scenes about horses and where they place horses. David Casey, ex-jockey, is down there as well. His team, and Aidan O'Brien again always mentions the team. You see how these boys operate with 170 or 200 horses working every morning. The team, it's a team effort, and he's got some really, really good guys, no more than Gordon.
There's a lovely little bit by Philip Quinn at the start of his piece where he says there were a few raised eyebrows on the team when the week before Mullins looked at the horses and said, right, no more work, they're ready. And he even went off for a weekend in Waterford with his wife.
Isn't that a beautiful thing?
And a few of them thought, we're not sure about this, but there's a touch of instinct and experience about the decision.
He knows the work is done.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, from owning horses, and I have a few in training and mares and foals, but when you're training horses, when you can give a horse a day or two off and break the routine that they so much love, when he says, lads, the work is done, we're going to go easy this week, we're going to have an easy week, not only for the staff, but for those horses just to get a little bit of sunshine on their back, a little bit easy, no fast work this Wednesday, lad, we're having a week off. For those horses, it was like saying, right, lads, we're going to Lanzarote. And then those horses get up in the horse box, Off they go to Punchestown feeling refreshed. And 18 winners in the week. Incredible.
Yeah, it's remarkable stuff.
Phenomenal stuff. And while we're on that, the two ladies.
Yes, so Philip Quinn and Don McLean as well. So they're writing about Katie Walsh and Nina Carberry, retired within 24 hours of each other. I mean, household names and yet probably still underrated.
I remember I used to do a phone call every day in Cheltenham with Paddy Power way back in the day, 10, 15 years ago, to Jerry Ryan. And we do a half-hour broadcast live from Cheltenham on the Jerry Ryan show. Nina Carberry, I was there when she had her first ever winner for Paul Nolan, a horse called Dabaroon. Nina Carberry is the same girl there as she was yesterday, with tears in her eyes, retiring. Phenomenal between herself and Katie Walsh. Phenomenal sportswomen, phenomenal jockeys. The greatest female jockeys ever produced. We are producing more now. There's more there, but what a pair, what a great... It's incredible. You can just say so much about them.
Yeah, Carberry rode over 400 winners. Sorry, Carberry, 400 winners. Her first as a 16-year-old. Noel Meade talked about her as a fabulous tactician, brilliant rider. And Katie Walsh, Don McLean's piece is mainly about Katie. He had a bit more time because she retired first. And she was saying that I wanted to go out in a winner. I said to myself I'd retire when I rode the next winner. It's just the way it's worked out. I couldn't get a better place than Punchestown to go out as well with my family and my husband Ross all here, and to ride for Willie makes it extra special. 3 Cheltenham Festival winners, Punchestown champion bumper, Kerry National, 3rd place on Seabass in the Grand National.
Yeah, magnificent.
What could have been? That would have been an amazing story.
Yeah.
And then obviously they both had Irish Grand National success. Sorry, Colm, I interrupted you.
I was just saying, Cliona Foley, who sits in this chair on a regular basis, tweeted when Nina announced her retirement yesterday that between Katie and herself, they were the Katrina and Sonia of Irish horse racing, and I think that's pretty apt because they were drivers in so many ways, and they both went out at the top, and they both went out riding for trainers who had given them so much. At the end of Bulger, wasn't it? That
JP McManus.
How many times did she go over the fences in Cheltenham for an end and drove home an End of Bulger horse like that? How many bumpers did she win over the years?
What would you say to me this
morning?
morning?
The old catchphrase we said, Nina in the bumper. I mean, it's so often said, back Nina in the bumper.
St. Joe Bacon did it many times.
You could be in the supermarket, hey, Eaton for me, Hector. Yeah, Nina in the bumper. You could be in the local pub, Eaton, Nina in the bumper. Nina
in the bumper became a catchphrase at so many.
She was her tactics when she went to the front, 2 furlongs out, the way she manipulated races, the way she could manipulate the pace of a race. Nina Carberry, between them, I think they have 9 winners.
But to watch her come through the field,
Hector,
to watch her come through the field in a cross-country chase in Cheltenham, and judge the pace, and you're watching her and she hits at the right time when they come back out onto the track, and there she is.
It's funny. Don McLean writes as well there today. There are striking similarities between the two of these ladies, both top-class amateur riders. Both from racing dynasties, the Carberrys and the Walshes, both of similar vintage, both mold breakers. And if ever a question rose about whether a female rider could be as good as a male rider, Nina Carberry and Katie Walsh were the 2 riders who immediately came to mind, across the water and in Ireland. There are unbelievable sportswomen, and they'll be sadly missed, and I'm glad they're bowing out on a high. 2 great women.
And finally, what's the landscape behind them with those 2 retiring then for female jockeys? What's the landscape?
It's very healthy at the moment with the Rachel Blackmores and the Lisa O'Neills, and they're very much tied in. Lisa O'Neill is very much tied in with Gordon, riding Kerry national winners and stuff. It's a very, very healthy place. I think they've broken the mould. There's no gender imbalance there in horse racing when it comes to those ladies. They've smashed it. And Jamie Codd will tell you that. Derek O'Connor will tell you that. Any of those amateur jockeys will tell you. Nina and Katie broke the mould and have paved the way for future female jockeys in this country.
Okay, that's lovely stuff. We'll take a short break. Our Sunday paper review is brought to you with Air, the home of Air Sport. Get amazing live sporting content free with Air Broadband. We've got Hector and Colm Keys here. We still have to talk Liverpool. We still have to talk GAA. Their former teacher, Colm O'Rourke's been writing a piece or 2. We're back in a second.
The Sunday Papers on Off the Ball.
In association with the Air Sport app, allowing you to cast your favourite sporting action from your tablet or mobile phone straight to your TV.
The Moncrief Show is on the road again, and this time we're in Tullamore. Join us on May the 4th when we'll be broadcasting Movies and Booze live from the Bridge House Hotel in the heart of Tullamore. Kick off the bank holiday weekend as we pop corks, eat good food, talk movies and drink the tastiest booze. Show what else would you want to do of a Friday. To be part of the audience, just go to newstalk.com/events and follow the link.
Movies and Booze on Moncrief.
Proudly sponsored by Carry Out Off Licence.
Every Friday on Newstalk.
TileStyle know all about bathrooms. Whether it's functional German design or Italian passion and flair, they have it all. Showers, taps, baths, radiators and more in a range of styles to suit your home. And we haven't even mentioned their stunning wood flooring collections yet. TileStyle gives you all the choice and quality you need in bathrooms, wood, tiles and stone. Their amazing showroom is just off the M50 at exit 10. Call in for some expert advice or log on to tilestyle.ie.
It's time to grab an amazing deal. The Aer Lingus Summer Stateside Sale is now on. With €100 off return flights, you can choose your own America. Take in the culture of historic Boston, splash out on a new outfit in trendy New York, or soak up some rays in sunny Miami. And with US immigration pre-clearance before you fly, you can kick off your summer adventure as soon as you land. Smart saves €100 on stateside summer trips. Smart flies Aer Lingus. Book now at airlingus.com. Offer subject to conditions and availability.
At Bruce Betting, we're celebrating 40 years as one of Ireland's leading bookmakers with the launch of our brand new website and iOS app. Packed with features and easy to use, the new Bruce Betting app includes ACCA insurance, cash out and live casino. Bruce Betting, giving you more. In store, online and now on your phone. Please gamble responsibly.
The HPV vaccine is safe and effective and protects your daughter against cervical cancer. HSE teams are visiting schools to give the second dose of the HPV vaccine. Most girls have already had the first dose, but if your daughter missed out, she can still get it now. Visit the HSE's hpv.ie website, the only World Health Organisation approved website in Ireland for all the facts about the HPV vaccine. Get the vaccine. Protect our future. From the HSE.
The new 100% electric Nissan Leaf. 0 to thousands in savings on fuel, servicing and motor tax. 0 left to prove. Book your test drive today at nissan.ie.
Last August, a sellout crowd cheered them to a great win at the Aviva. Now Liverpool FC return to Dublin to take on a skillful Napoli side on Saturday, August the 4th. Watch Jurgen Klopp's first team as they continue their pre-season tour with an international friendly against Serie A contenders Napoli. Tickets on sale now at ticketmaster.ie. Booking fee applies. Liverpool versus Napoli, Saturday, August 4th at the Aviva. Don't miss out.
Get summer ready. I'm Elsa Jones, and in this week's Sunday Independent, you'll find my 4-week sugar-busting eating plan, plus how to train your brain to beat those cravings.
And I'm Paul Byrne. With my easy-to-follow 4-week workout plan, you'll be looking and feeling your best in time for summer.
The Sunday Independent, the complete read.
Make cleaning your house a breeze with the return of the Dyson 4-day event this weekend at Harvey Norman. Get the Dyson V6 Absolute Cord-Free Vacuum for just €299, or get the new Dyson V10 Absolute Cyclone Vacuum with 60 minutes battery life for just €499. With the best prices guaranteed and Dyson experts in store to help find the perfect product, why shop anywhere else? Discover Dyson at the Harvey Norman 4-day event this weekend, in store and online.
The Sunday Papers on Off the Ball.
In association with Air. Watch every UEFA Champions League and Europa League game on the Air Sport Pack.
This is News Talk.
Welcome back. We're reviewing the Sunday Papers. We've got live Premier League commentary on the way afterwards. We have Hector hEochagáin in studio, who is a Manchester United fan, and we're going to talk Liverpool. And we have Colm Keys, who claims to be somewhere in the neutral zone, but quite liking the Liverpool story this year. There's two aspects to Liverpool. There's the romanticism on the field. Eamon Sweeney's writing about that. And there's David Conn actually pointing out ways in which they haven't treated fans around the ground well. But also there's what may happen in Rome, and we're all wishing Sean Cox well. Front page of the Sunday Times, fears grow for Liverpool fans, and it's also on the back page of the Mail on Sunday, Red Storm. So Jonathan Northcroft, fears for the safety of Liverpool supporters in Rome intensified following claims by Italian police that English ultras are ready to team up with far-right Lazio thugs in advance of Wednesday's game in Rome. The man who's made the claim is the chief of the Union of Italian State Police, Andrea Ciccini. And he also blamed British authorities for the violence last Tuesday that left Sean Cox fighting for his life. And he was quoted in the Italian press and across various articles today. So it seems they're expecting at least 1,000 English ultras and to join up with Lazio fans. And this has happened in the past. Fans from Czech Republic, Croatia, Poland have joined up with Lazio fans. Now, Liverpool have, for their part, have said they're kind of stunned at the claims. Not a single supporter has been arrested on a Champions League trip this season. It also seems Liverpool are very frustrated. They've been trying for a good while now, even before the violence of the first leg, to find out things like the bus shuttle routes for fans and what the arrangements are from airports and various logistical plans, because obviously the Roma fans have a reputation, and Tuesday has heightened the sense of worry. And then again, Ian Humbert, Joe Bernstein lads in the Mail on Sunday is talking as well about British ultras. But again, Liverpool have made the point that anybody who's known to be a troublemaker generally has to surrender their passports before a game like this. So they're not actually putting too much stock in what Cecchini is saying. Bernstein, in his report, points out as well that Italian techniques are seen as vastly outdated as well. The modern policing seems to have undercover people involved in the crowd, and they spot the troublemakers and the leaders and they weed them out that way, whereas it seems the Italian police stand nearby with batons in hand waiting to charge in. So there'll be people travelling from Dublin Airport on Wednesday, and there are worries, there are legitimate worries here.
It's just it was a very sad and unfortunate incident last week for a man standing outside the ground, and we've all stood outside the grounds before it, and hopefully Sean Cox is on the mend, and we're thinking of him today. But I don't know about this. I just think there's Roma have had a history of this, haven't they? They've had a history of stabbing and violent incidents at their matches. Seemingly there's a bridge outside the ground where a lot of fans can be attacked from high with cement blocks and bottles and stuff like this. These guys are highly organised, and standing in the crowd to try and weed out the ringleaders doesn't do it. These boys will meet at 11 o'clock. If there is a meeting, these ultras will meet and they will get it on, because you're not talking about lads nowadays who stand and have 15 pints and the beer bellies outside, and they go down the road for a bit of an argy-bargy. They're pretty well organised outfits.
I think it's significant enough.
And fighting men.
In terms of newspapers, and it's on the back page of the Mail, it's on the front page of the Sunday Times. Obviously, somewhere it's been pushed. It's become an issue, and to me, that says that there are real fears that this is being pushed from somewhere. Maybe it's the police, maybe it's the club, just to put it into the public conscience a lot more than maybe it would have been. Now, obviously, in light of what happened, Sean Cox, it's very, very relevant. But this, to appear on the front page of the Times and the back page, is very relevant to me, very significant that this is, maybe coming from the same sources too. Obviously, with this police officer, but I think there's an awareness to alert people to those who are travelling to the real dangers here.
Yeah, in some respects I thought the Italian police officer's comments were inflammatory, blaming the British authorities for what happened last week, talking about the English ultras coming over. There's an element of maybe get your own house in order here.
Yeah, and also maybe that the link that Liverpool are going to use Lazio's training facility, that will somehow bring fans closer together.
He's criticised that. I mean, I can't.
I don't see any link. I don't see how any link could really be determined in that respect.
But it says here the claims have stunned Liverpool. Not one single supporter has been arrested on a Champions League trip this season. And of course, the majority of fans going to all these matches, even the away fan, which is a harder fan, a more dedicated fan. There is a group in every club in England, and every club in any of those clubs in Europe who
I suppose with the Manchester City with the bus as well coming in. Now, obviously, that's nowhere near as serious, or nothing as serious as what happened this week, but it's there in the mind too that this happened on the way into Anfield, so that inflames it a little bit more too.
Yeah, on the field. So, for instance, Eamon Sweeney's talking about the romantic run pays homage to roots, and just talks about the magic of this season. He says that Liverpool's current European campaign as a fairy tale quality, lacking in their runs to the final in 05 and 07, owes a lot to Salah and even more to Jurgen Klopp. It is a romantic city, and he is a romantic manager. Has the Manchester United heart in you, even for a moment, thought, I quite like some of these fellas?
There's one particular man on WhatsApp with me, right? And WhatsApp has bonded more men in this country. I think WhatsApp is a good thing for men. I speak more to lads on WhatsApp than we've ever spoken on mobiles or text. WhatsApp has been a great invention for bonding men together, and mates, and friends, and soccer rivalries. But there's one particular man called Fishy in Galway who is so Liverpool. And you know, over the WhatsApp conversations when we're getting beaten or he's getting beaten, I do like Klopp. I really have warmed to Klopp. I like Klopp. I like the head of him. I like the look of him. I like the way he goes on. I like the way he celebrated a goal way back when he came first and the glasses fall off. I love it. And I think Salah has given him a romantic man, a romantic city. What a romantic centre forward. What a player with a dinky left foot. How many dinks over the keeper has he scored? How many more times will he dink it over the keeper? I mean, he doesn't score volleys, does he?
He missed one yesterday.
I know
similar.
he did.
He missed one
it's
very,
almost
very
as if he's using the far side of the left foot. He's just been a breath of fresh air. And as a Manchester United fan, I'm so glad he got PFA Player of the Year, by the way, because De Bruyne, a lovely player, but Salah, magnificent. And I do look at, as a Man United fan, can we stand Liverpool winning another Champions League? The tattoos will be out. There'll be laser treatment surgery. People going, why did I get that tattoo off? There'll be a couple more stars put in. If they win it.
You would love Jurgen Klopp at Manchester United. He's everything that Mourinho isn't. There's a joylessness about Old Trafford now. You must be sitting there thinking, this is turgid.
I don't know. He just keeps going, why are people giving out to me? Why we're playing good football? Why? Look, I don't understand. The West Brom game after beating City in that amazing half a couple of weeks ago, the game the following week, I'm up and down with them. But I shall continue from 1978 to present day. I shall continue at Manchester United. It's in the DNA.
I also think Klopp is a better judge of Salah than Mourinho was, despite Mourinho's insistence that during the week, almost Trump-esque, that it was him that bought the player and the club got rid of him. But that's happened a few times with Mourinho too. Obviously De Bruyne and to a lesser degree Lukaku. So, but on Salah, I mean, to be bought for 35 million, what's he worth now?
Can they hold on to him?
I just
Coutinho is an afterthought, isn't it?
Yeah.
Coutinho is an afterthought. Salah has just come back. They've been very, very lucky, and
I would be drawn in by Klopp. He's so expressive. Reading his interviews, even his views on Brexit, which he has expressed now a few times. I mean, they're strong, they're relevant. And you can see he has lightened the mood of Liverpool in many ways.
Can I ask you then? So Eamon Sweeney's talking here, and it's a very common viewpoint. I think Liverpool have become, as Barcelona said, the motto says, more than a club. United are the epitome of a club as a corporate juggernaut, are the unlovable ones. That's the price you pay for success. And he talks about Liverpool and Hillsborough and just having a certain magic about them. And I accept all that to a point, but Liverpool are every bit as much a heartless corporate juggernaut as the next place. And David Kahn has a cracking piece on page 2 of the Sunday Independent. It's a story he's covered for a long time. 2012, 2013 he was writing about this. The short version column is Liverpool from the 90s were buying houses on Loher Road, all the streets around the stadium, buying as many houses as they could, hoovering them up. Some people didn't want to sell, quite naturally, and then Liverpool would just leave unoccupied. Tinned up was the phrase in the estate. They're tinned up, those houses. They're unoccupied, and they were often set alight or had squatters or windows were smashed, and the people left behind saw the neighbourhood just go downhill completely. And it's a shameful way to treat, actually, a lot of Liverpool supporters and people just in the area. And David Kahn's been all over that story. It seems, according to Kahn, that in recent times Liverpool have tried to heal relations a touch. That's the gist of what he's saying.
I remember reading that piece in The Guardian. It was 2013, and it was pretty damning of Liverpool and their social responsibility to the area around them, as they bought up all these terraces with a view to extending their the stand and they built shopping centre around there too. But the thrust of this piece by David Kahn, it's on page 2 in the Sunday Independent, is really that relations have improved. That's what I get from it. And even though the Liverpool's deputy mayor, and she's a cabinet member for regeneration, Anne O'Byrne is her name, she says, we talk about neighbours, and Liverpool Football Club need to be good neighbours as well. People are still annoyed with the club after what they suffered, but the club has stepped up. So obviously they have stepped up. The plans were initially for a new stadium in Liverpool,
Stanley Park,
in Hicks and Gillette, but that priorities changed after that. But what I take from that is there is still an edge there, but it has improved. And just reading some of the comments, but it's a very derelict area, very
working class,
socially impoverished area too. If you read the statistics, which
I've got them here.
Life expectancy 6.5 years in the area around Liverpool and Everton. Life expectancy is 6.5 years lower than the national average of 81, and 32% of children growing up Neighbouring the club of Mo Salah and Roberto Firmino were overweight, 10% higher. So you get a picture there of
the red brick terraced
houses. And maybe Liverpool have to step up a little bit more. They are the very centre, the epicentre of this community.
Well, they've contributed massively to that neighbourhood going downhill. I mean, who's going to move in when there's empty houses, derelict with no? And the thing is that the Con has made it clear from a long way out. They were buying all these houses in the 90s and doing it in sneaky ways. Like sometimes a house
CPOs, compulsory purchase orders were threatened, and were that this was, and obviously when this
sometimes
becomes,
as well, a house would be bought and then within a few days Liverpool would have bought it off the person who bought that house, and that didn't happen by accident. So they were doing it in all sorts of sneaky ways, but not telling anyone what the plan was. They were just buying these houses and almost saying, well, we'll just sit tight and see where this goes.
And obviously they have the financial muscle.
Of course,
they have the financial muscle to take this through the legal route if it comes to that, and that's always the case. And when you have a group of local residents like that are almost penniless and do not have the power to take anything through the courts and to challenge any of this. So there is a social responsibility for every urban club, and we're talking about it. But the Greenfield site for Stadia,
which I like. Isn't there something?
But everybody
beautiful?
loves the city stadium. Everybody
Walking
loves
from the city
walk
centre to the stadium, you see the stadium jutting out. I was in the new camp only a couple of weeks ago, and it's so close to the city. But again, the northern towns in England, to have that stadium in these working class areas, you're coming across small little streets, side streets, and there's the stadium in front of you. It's the same in Manchester, same in Liverpool. It's happening in a lot of cities in the north of England where the grounds are.
Yeah. It seems like things are improving. Not
they are improving.
Yet,
and, he's quoting some of the residents that he actually quoted beforehand in his previous piece. So he has written extensively on it, and he does paint a grim picture of Liverpool's social responsibility, but does point out that it is getting better. So there is that other side, and maybe that's the Klopp effect too. Possibly.
Maybe, but the club is shankly.
But what do you want when you arrive at a stadium? Do you want Costa coffees and supermarkets and pharmacies and everything built around the stadium, or do you want to come round the bend where there's a little pub and there's the stadium and the history and everything is there? It's 6 of one, half dozen the other. Brighton and all these places have built their new stadiums. I just love when the stadium is in the city centre, and there's a feeling when you walk along those side little streets and get to it. But a lot of those pubs, like the Albert, unfortunately, where Sean Cox is standing, they only open on the night of a game, on the day of a game. And during the week, it's pretty desolate.
Well, it seems of the worst 1% of neighbourhoods in England, 11 of them are around Anfield. Scary thought. Hi lads, brought my family to Rome at Chelsea a couple of years back. Big mistake. Thought I was doing the right thing by taking the family and taking in Rome for a weekend. Absolute carnage. Had to leave halfway through the second half. Lesson learned. Says John McBride in County Cavan. God, if you're going over, look after yourself, I think, is the message. Like, the authorities are on the front pages of all the sports pages here.
Rome is a great contradiction. Obviously, it's the eternal city. It's so much history, but around every corner there is graffiti and there's an edge to it in places.
I just finished watching Gomorrah, one of the great series on Netflix. I got hooked on Gomorrah a couple of years ago, and Ciro de Marzo and Gennaro Savastano I've been in Naples and I've driven in Naples, and I stayed at the train station in Naples in a hotel. I'll tell you one thing, there's some grim places over there, and in Rome there's a beautiful side of Rome, like every major city like that, but there's a dark side to Rome as well.
Colm O'Rourke's writing in the Sunday Independent about the month of April. Colm Keys, a lot of his piece is about how sorry he feels for the likes of you trying to make GAA news for the last month, and it's been slow pickings.
It is, and that is the other side of club only, as it's become known, and that's in fixtures terms. It's obviously not in engagement terms, because inter-county squads have continued to train.
Did I see the Wexford Hurlers were abroad there? And
Wexford Hurlers are gone to Portugal. They're probably back
This
now.
is during the ban.
Armagh football. Well, the ban was always there, but last September at Special Congress they brought in a penalty to actually attach to the prohibition of a training camp after the end of the league, and that was that you would lose home venue for one league match next year. But obviously some of these, and maybe they haven't, but some of these counties have done the calculations and says, right, a home match, what will we lose? Bit of ground rent, maybe travel costs to go down next year.
So it's worth it.
Sale of programmes, but the benefit is we get a week away here. It improves our championship. It's worth it, and that's what they've measured. So clearly, the deterrent for a training camp, and Joe Brolly is writing about Donegal's training camp and security breach reveals Donegal's plans. They apparently were hiring security.
Keep people out from seeing
to
the
keep
sessions.
Up in Queen's University. And a few other counties have gone and are intending to go, some of the bigger counties, and other managers are looking on and saying, what's going on here? We thought this was banned, but the deterrent obviously isn't strong enough.
The headline on Colm O'Rourke's piece is "Good riddance to April, a barren month of fake breaks and unfairness." Is that
the thing about it is this is a big sacrifice for the GAA to make, to devote, and whether it works or not remains to be seen. The evidence would suggest in some counties it has, in others it hasn't, because obviously in the case of Mayo and Galway, they're playing on May 13. Cavan Donegal are playing on May 13, so they have to get at it fast. So club month was halved, or maybe even didn't happen at all in some cases. Galway didn't play a championship game. Mayo played very early on in April. So everybody is doing it differently. It could work if everybody started on the same day, but that's not practical under the way that the championship is structured. That's another argument. The basis of Colm's point is the window for Gaelic games has been closed off in April because look at the sports pages. It's all issue driven. Here we are talking about Punchestown, we're talking about John Muldoon, we're talking about Liverpool, and at the tail end now, we're talking about Gaelic games. We're not talking about a league final. We're not talking about a league final in hurling or football or anything like that. We're talking about issues, people giving out, people raising complaints about things like April. So from that point of view, and is September the golden month for the GAA going to be any different? No. But the other side of that is it will facilitate clubs somewhat more. Now maybe April didn't work, that remains to be seen, but clubs will get busy in September and will have more time to finish. So it's a sacrifice from the GAA to remove themselves from.
But wouldn't most clubs were busy in September anyway?
They were, yeah. But by taking it back, I mean, it's back 2 weeks this year because of the Pope's visit. It'll be 3 weeks next year. If the CPA and others had their way, it would be back to the end of early August when the All-Ireland Championships would be completed. And maybe there's something in that to bring it that far back and just start the championship in April nearly straight after the league, and you almost have 2 split seasons.
I mentioned to you there about Coola winning the All-Ireland Club and the week later they're back in the league. Like, what's going on? Why is there so much stuff to write about the politics and the fixtures and the club and the county? There's so much. Colm O'Rourke and Joe Brolly is just... There's just so much fodder. There's a fodder crisis around the country, but there's no fodder crisis when it comes to writing about the GAA. There's so much waffle written about, and why is there so much controversy about the great game? Why aren't they writing about Féile, the thousands of kids that are in Féile? We always love the negativity about the GAA, and we write about it all the time. Like, I'm training lads in under 14. We won a county Féile Division 1 at the weekend, and there's so much good stuff happening at club level, but there's so much politics in the hierarchy of the GAA and club fixtures, and the club is beaten out and shunned, and then the players have their own. I just think it's incredible. Do we love talking about it more than the weather and writing about it?
I think so.
Mental.
And there are so many issues. I mean,
issues.
There are so many issues to talk about, and that's before you get into
why is it so that
broadcasting and championship structures, which no doubt are next in line. And
I'm not talking about it ever again.
Here is the motion now. The next motion is motion 765, caption A. All those hands in favour. And what I see at the weekends and when I'm working with young lads in Claregalway and Galway is, and obviously I'm bringing the Meadness to Galway, to my club, but I'm seeing the running off the shoulder, the third man run, the hand pass, lads taking lovely scores at 14 years of age where they're curling the ball over the bar with the side of the foot. Football played beautifully like Mikey Sheehy used to play it, or any of the great players, or Trevor Giles, or any of those great, or football the way it should be played. There should be, I don't know, I just think we love writing about it and talking about it, and I know you write about it very well, by the way, but these two boys, they're like the two boys out of the Muppets, aren't they?
Statler and Waldorf.
The two boys.
There is a lot of relevant points too.
Yeah, I think they do, to be fair.
Yeah.
They do. I enjoy their pieces, I do enjoy their pieces, but there's so much written about the GA. It's incredible. It's incredible.
But you will always find something. I mean, this week it's training camps. There's always, I think there's a complaint or an issue for every day of the year in the GAA. You could look at the 1st of January.
January's burnout month.
January is burnout, and then we go to college and club.
Sigerson, too many people playing
Sigerson.
Sigerson.
League, and then we come into March, and it's why are the club championships still going on?
Yeah.
And it comes into April. There's nothing happening in April. There's not enough happening. There's too much happening. On it goes. There's too many games.
On a positive note, Colm was our teacher. Colm O'Rourke was our teacher.
What did he teach you?
Economics and geography.
Right.
Good, strong.
So did he give you your love of geography?
He gave me. He told me that what the capital of Albania was. That's where I learned off O'Rourke. The capital of Albania. Tirana. Well done. See the geography coming out there. O'Rourke was.
What school was this again?
St. Pat's in Navan. Yeah, he was economics and geography, and good man. He's headmaster of a fine school now, over 1,000 students. The gym is state of the art now. When we were there, we were never winning any Leinster school titles in football. And it's sort of like
maybe there's something in that.
It's like a magnet now for all the Mead men. When will we be back? The word transition. Are you still using the word transition as a Mead man?
I'm not even using transition.
Transition's gone for Mead people.
Yeah.
Colm, what's the future?
I think it's going to take a while. I think it's going to take a number
How
of
long's
years.
a while?
How long's a while before
we're saying that a while. Look, there are some good underage teams in Meath. There's no doubt about it. But there is the spectre of Dublin hanging over the whole province. No doubt about it.
When are we going to hear the referee has stopped the game? Mick Lyons has his hands raised. Joe McNally's on the ground prostrate. There's blood flowing from his ear. Kieran Duff is remonstrating with the referee. Mick Lyons and we need that again, don't we? But we need that again.
The game has changed in many respects. I don't think
you're stuck in the 90s, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm stuck when men were men and sheep were nervous. To get back, Sean McDermott, bring the big men back. The big spine up through the middle of the pitch.
I think those are hankering for days that are long gone.
Listen. But Mick Lyons off the pitch is a gentleman, a giant on the pitch. Maybe, look at, I don't know.
I see a couple of the papers have...
well, actually, you're talking the different months of the year. September is now, geez, what are we going to do about Dublin's dominance?
Exactly, yeah.
I think anyone, and I've said this before, and I put a motion to Meath County Council, anybody spotted on the streets of Navan, Trim or Kells, after the time of 10 o'clock at night, in an Arnott's jersey during the summer, should be a £50 fine on the spot. And I brought that to the motion. Motion passed.
Arnott's are long gone as well.
They're still in the cupboard. Who are they now?
Speaking of Dublin, a couple of the papers, Mark O'Shea has written about Diarmuid Connolly, and Roy Curtis has a piece about Diarmuid Connolly probably not coming back for Dublin this year. So this has been recurring for the last obviously since the early March as well. Yeah. And I think it's pretty clear that Diarmuid Connolly won't resurface.
Well, until Connolly speaks about it publicly, I think he should just be left alone now. And whatever his reasons are, I mean, the fact he hasn't come out and spoken about it means let's just leave him to it.
Yeah, and he didn't play with Vincent's again this weekend.
Yeah, and he loves Vincent's. I mean,
he would. When Dublin would get a break during the summer, maybe they might get a short break after a first round match, and there would be no club games. Diarmuid Connolly would go up and play a challenge match.
I know, yeah.
For his club. That's how committed he was to it. So I think you're right. I think it probably ends. I think it's pretty clear he won't be
He's
back
only
with
31,
Dublin
isn't he?
This year.
Such a talent and brilliant. And yeah, so I mean, are you behind Galway then? Is that
well? You see, my mum's Galway, my dad was Navan, so I have a foot in both camps.
Fair enough. Like a lot of people in the country.
I can see the Galway training facilities only a mile from my house, in where I live in Claregalway. So look at underage football. That's what I'm involved with now, and underage soccer. Kennedy Cup's coming up, and it's a military operation. As many parents listen to this show, and dads and mums know, Sunday morning is where's the training, where's the match. So at the moment, that's what I'm focusing on, the youth.
And are the numbers healthy? Are they into it?
Numbers are good. Numbers are good in Claregalway. At the moment, we won the Minor A Championship. We've gone back senior as well. And in Craigmore Soccer, which I'm very proud of, we've a couple of lads on Kennedy Cup and one lad gone to national under 13. I'm working with them since they're 6 or 7. So again,
and at that level, Hector, like, you know, we talk about the club player being disenfranchised now at senior level. For your 14s or 15s or 16s, are they getting regular games? Is it all laid out? Is it a good setup?
I'll tell you, if I broke down a week of a 13-year-old in my house playing Connacht Connacht first year schools final last week with Damien Comer and Maurice Sheridan, Fintan O'Curran looking after them. They played the schools Connacht semi-final the next day in soccer. There was Kennedy Cup training the following night. They played the Féile all weekend. Monday night they're back in again. These young lads at 13 and 14 are at a junction now in our parish. We've Turlock Moor right beside us, of what sport will I give up? I can't do the hurling, Gaelic and soccer, I'm going to give up the hurling, concentrate on Gaelic and soccer. It's pretty bananas out there as a parent of or a coach of any youngsters who are playing. They're playing 4 or 5. The bag is going with them to school more than they're actually not going to school anymore. They're just playing sport for the school, which if we could, we would have done in first year.
One of the issues, another issue for the GAA that's coming down the tracks is infrastructure for clubs, because with the growth of ladies football in Camogie and possible merger with the GAA will give them very much equal status in any club at some stage. Clubs will not have and don't have at the moment enough facilities and good enough facilities to retain that year-round cycle. You look at the number of pitches, Gaelic pitches that were put off because of the bad weather, and all these teams, I mean, at entry level there's huge numbers. Obviously retention is the big issue as players get older.
Yes.
But in time, I don't think the GAA and GAA clubs will have enough facilities to place teams, and that's why the need to generate more money and to have a trickle-down effect is still there. No matter what the principles are, it's still there. They're going to need money, because you will not shake a bucket at the corner of every street in every town and say, we've raise enough money
But
here.
I think people will also find if their local facilities aren't good enough, if they're short a few pitches, they will be wondering, well, why the hell are we spending $2 million on the county team?
Yes,
and those
big issue,
and again that whole issue of
very much, and obviously
we'll come back to.
Obviously, that's another.
Look, we've
when will we pencil that in for?
November. Come in November.
Yeah,
we'll give that a good rattle. Yeah. Hector, thanks a million for coming in.
Joe.
It was a real pleasure. When will we? What are we seeing you up to?
I just got back from Siberia, Mongolia.
As you do.
I've just been travelling there. New series starting in October on TG4, 9 hours from Siberia to Saigon, and a few other little projects on the go. And I'll be on the Sunday sitting room upstairs on Today FM at about 4 o'clock with the parish notices.
Very good. Well, we'll only have Man United Arsenal around that time, so they can choose.
Can I just say, I listened to you when we come in from train, or coming from train 7 o'clock in the evening, boys. This is the dynasty in here, and it's great to be in here and see the mothership of sport in the country at work.
Well, come back every 4 or 5 months
to talk GAA. Section 651.
And Colm Keys of the Irish Independent, thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Okay,
Thanks.
short break.
The Sunday Papers on Off the Ball.
In association with the Air Sport app, allowing you to cast your favourite sporting action from your tablet or mobile phone straight to your TV. The new 100% electric Nissan Leaf. 0 to thousands in savings on fuel, servicing and motor tax. 0 left to prove. Book your test drive today at nissan.ie.
Last August, a sellout crowd cheered them to a great win at the Aviva. Now Liverpool FC return to Dublin to take on a skillful Napoli side on Saturday, August the 4th. Watch Jurgen Klopp's first team as they continue their pre-season tour with an international friendly against Serie A contenders Napoli. Tickets on sale now at ticketmaster.ie. Booking fee applies. Liverpool versus Napoli, Saturday, August 4th at the Aviva. Don't miss out.
Get summer ready. I'm Elsa Jones, and in this week's Sunday Independent, you'll find my 4-week sugar-busting eating plan, plus how to train your brain